This is Comic Geek Speak, episode 40. Welcome to Comic Geek Speak, proud members of the Comics Podcast Network. I'm Brian Deemer.
Well, I'm Scott.
I'm Matt.
Kevin Moyer.
Jamie D.
I'm Peter Rios.
Easy, miss. I've got you.
You've got me. Who's got you?
And, welcome to the show. It's the same as it ever was.
We've officially hit middle age.
That's
Episode
right,
40.
Oh, man, we're over the hill now.
Over the hill.
How about that? Before we get started, I want to remind everyone about our newest contest. We are looking for people to host segments for our show concerning anime and manga. We're looking for 2 new segments, recurring segments on the show. If you think you have what it takes to produce a 2 or 3 minute segment, once a week or so, or however often there's more news to tell us about, send in a clip. And you have until the end of August, and then we'll pick the best clip from each category, and those 2 people will get to be official correspondents on the show concerning manga and anime. So use your best sound effects or audio clips and your best talking or music or whatever you want to do to introduce us to what's hot in the world of anime and manga. So, what are we going to talk about today? Oh, I know what we're going to talk about today. We have so many listener emails that we have to get through. It's crazy. So this show is going to be a special all listener email episode. So I guess I should just what Jamie, you're making a face there? What's going on?
No.
He's telling you to steal second.
No, I just thought there were. I thought there were a couple other things we were doing special, but I
Like
guess
what?
I was misinformed. Well, I thought we were going to introduce a video game segment.
Well, we are.
Oh, yeah.
Oh well, then this is
Now
an
you're
all thing. So.
Well, but now
Well, I
you're
don't know.
stealing the thunder.
I didn't show up at the meeting. Okay.
Kevin did all
Take
his
it to the
homework.
Thunderdome.
F you all. I'm going home.
Come on, Pimp Daddy, you gotta keep it strong there.
Snicked. We're going 0 to Fight Club.
All right, let me pull up my. Let me just tell you how many mails we have. We have like 89 listener emails, so we're not going to get through all of them because we don't have 6 hours. But we will do as many as we can do.
We're going to start from the oldest.
We're going to start from the oldest and work our way up. So have no fear. If you send us an email, we will read it sooner or later. So, let's see. We still have Stump the Rios we have to get through, too. All right.
That V for Vendetta trade is still out there.
Yeah, no one has stumped Peter yet, so you can win. That's a good prize. All right. This one is from Greg Shanka. I think that's how you pronounce it, I'm guessing. He says, I'm sitting here listening to episode 33, and as so often happens, I feel the need to hit my head against the wall. Listening to you guys is like listening to guys at the comic book store, and that's part of the reason why I've gone to DCBS for 85% off my monthly comic book fix. I guess he's tired of hanging out at the comic store. He says, anyway, to chime in on the Thor versus Superman controversy, which we did a while back, I think a few things should be set out so the frame of reference is agreed upon. In mythology, Thor is the child of gods Odin and Frigga. Okay, so he is not a demigod or whatever. He's a full god. Loki is a full son of 2 giants. Though he is not related by blood to Odin, all the Norse gods are his children, including his wife, but marriage between close blood relatives is traditional in many mythologies. He would eventually become Odin's blood brother. He would eventually marry a Norse goddess, so technically he could be considered Thor's half-brother. Loki is not evil, as we have come to think of him, but a trickster. In fact, the trickster god. Think of him as a con man. He is malleable in form and sex and acts more like an antagonist, the reason many a myth proceeds. Hercules is the son of Zeus, an immortal human, Alcmene, or whatever?
Yeah, Alcmene.
While alive, Hercules had strength greater than any human because of his semi-divine parentage. After death, he ascended to Olympus, where Zeus granted him full godhood. How does all this matter to the Marvel Universe? Thor has fully divine parentage Odin and Gaia, though I know Frigga has been introduced into the Marvel Universe by Roy Thomas. Loki is Odin's adopted son, so the half-brother designation doesn't, to me, make sense. The child of two frost giants. Odin adopted Loki after finding the child after killing Loki's father in battle. As far as I can remember, whether or not Hercules ever died and ascended into godhood in the Marvel U, so his classification is up for grabs. I'd err on the side of calling him a god because he stood up to a pounding from Thor. Now, for the geeky side. In a battle between Superman, pre-crisis, Earth 2, post-crisis, any permutation you want, and Thor would have to win. Hammer or no hammer, on Earth, on the moon, wherever or whenever, because Thor is a god. Unless or until DC wants to grant divinity upon the Superman, by definition, Thor has to be stronger. I've been around comic books since at least 1965, since I was cognizant of who Batman was, enough to be excited by the show coming on in 1966. And it does my heart proud to know that the same stupid arguments are still going on. I'm still reading an incredible amount of monthly comics. A quick count shows about 90 titles between DCPS and my comic book store in June. That's a hell of a lot of books, man. 90.
It's been a long time since I ordered 90 titles a month.
Yeah, I thought I read a lot. Criminals.
That was like mid-'80s, late 80s. I was getting about 90 titles.
So I've had a great distaste for the big two since the early 90s. My commentary on what those two companies did is bordering becoming a raving manifesto. If you ever need someone to keep you honest on your pre-1992 facts, drop me a line. I'll be honest. There are times I want to reach into my computer and shake sense into the person making a half-correct statement. So you must be doing something right. I'll keep listening as long as you keep putting out the shows. Well, thank you, Greg, for shedding some light on our Thor god, demigod question, and all. And your, if Thor is a god, I said it. Yeah, but he would beat Superman.
It's a shame, but Marvel doesn't treat him like that. There's no way you can tell me Marvel, in their minds, treats Thor as a full-fledged god with all the powers that become him. You know what I mean? Because he's always getting his butt kicked.
I mean, when you get into the latter part of his last series, when he became the Lord of Asgard again and gained the Odin powers, I mean, that beyond god status. I mean, so the level, I always looked at it as, I understood that he was a full god, but he was sent to Earth for humility purposes. So, but the bottom line to me was the kicker that always stood between. I never looked at it as a strength level thing. I always looked at them as fairly equal in strength as Thor and Superman. But the kicker was the magic, the mysticism of the power of Mjolnir is the kicker. I mean, it's to me it's the same representation of when Superman fights Captain Marvel. The lightning itself is the kicker for Superman in Kingdom Come or in the actual last 3-part storyline with Captain Marvel. So I always feel that the magic and the power from Thor's hammer would always be the deciding factor as far as who would win that battle. That's my opinion.
Well, I mean, the funny thing is that there is a Thor-Superman battle in Superman 1, and it's by Kurt Busiek.
What does he know?
He knows everything. That's the thing.
I'm just kidding. All right, we got another one. This one
Oh, by the way, can I just throw this out? Just because it's kind of similar to this. On the boards, we've been doing a JLA Avengers thing, and
yes.
JLA has won round 1. Not by many, but by 35 to 31 rounds. We did not have a Superman-Thor battle in that. Thor was up against Captain Marvel, Shazam, of the DC Universe. Right. And Thor won, but not by many. He only won by, I think, 1 vote. He only won by 1 vote. So,
that's all it takes.
What's that?
That's all it takes.
That's all it takes, yeah. So even in that, I thought that was a better pairing because they're both dealing with gods and mysticism, but I thought that was kind of interesting. So round 2 is up on the forum now. I want everybody's votes, so go and vote.
All right, next email. This one is borderlining on a novel here. It's quite lengthy, so I think I'm going to kind of skim it, but I don't want to do this guy any disservice, but it's from Sam Harrison, who seems to be hailing from the UK. We seem to have a lot of English listeners. That's cool. Or I should say British or because they could be Welsh, it could be, Scottish, I don't know. So, Dear CGS, I'm loving your podcast. Just got the new iTunes and have been going through your old podcast from the beginning. I've been listening through and I had to write in and say what I've been thinking about since I saw Batman Begins. I'm apologizing slightly now for the length of this, but you guys seem to be as big geek as I am, so I'm sure you've thought about these things. I'm still working on questions obscure enough to stump the Rios, but until then, perhaps something to ponder. Pretend that there have never been any Batman movies. You've got 5 movies to play with, and you don't have to stick with the names or the cast. Who would you get to play the roles, and what will be your story arcs? He's given us some examples here, but that's a good question. So before I read his examples and put thoughts into our minds, what do you guys think? Who would you cast, and what storylines would you use?
So you're saying we have to use the characters, or the actors that were in?
No. You don't have to.
Oh, we can make up our own.
You can any storyline, any
okay.
actors, any characters, whatever.
For any comic movie or just
No, for Batman, we have to come up with 5 Batman movies.
Wow.
You know.
I know one thing I always thought I would like to have seen would be Adrian Brody as the Joker. For some reason, I always pictured him.
Where's he from? Like what?
From The Piano. He was the Oscar winner from The Piano. He's in the new King Kong movie as Driscoll with Jack Black.
Okay. Well, I heard Crispin Glover.
You got to talk into the mic. We can't hear you.
Crispin Glover, I heard, would make a good Joker.
Yeah, if they can ever get him to the studio. He's so whacked out. But he would be a good Joker. But I don't know. I always thought Adrian Brody would be good.
Maybe I'm stepping off what he really wants here, but I would have loved to have seen a Michael Keaton, Christopher Reeve pair up.
What, for Superman, Batman?
For Batman and have for Superman.
You and your
appearance.
Michael Keaton.
I'm sorry, but at that time, you're not going to have Christian Bale and Christopher Reeve, and you're certainly not going to have Val Kilmer.
I think Christopher Reeve passed away.
Well, you know what I mean. But I mean, for
he's next to the grave.
For the type of movie, for that.
Okay, I'm holding our Magic 8 Ball that was given to us. It's branded with the Hi-Fi Graphics logo, thanks to Brian Miller, the colorist from Hi-Fi Graphics.
Hi-Fi Design, I think.
Yeah, Hi-Fi Designs. I'm sorry. And I'm going to ask it, does Michael Keaton make a good Batman? And, it says very likely. This sucks. Piece of shit.
He didn't make a bad Batman.
Right, yeah, well, all right. Did he make a good Bruce Wayne? Come on, you freaking thing. I can't read it. Don't bet on it. See? There you go. Problem solved. I'm sorry. I've said it before. I don't like Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne.
Christian Bale did both parts justice?
Absolutely. I loved him as Batman. And I would pick him if there was. I mean, because that's all I can think of now. Yeah. Because of course he's been him, and now I think, well, he did the best job, so pick him. Yeah.
The Playboy aspect.
Yeah. So I like him. What storylines? I mean, man. I guess you start with year 1. Go right by the book. Yeah. Buy the book. Do it. Just take the comic and turn it into a movie. Get Robert Rodriguez and make the friggin' movie exactly like the comic.
About Long Halloween.
Oh, that's nice too. Oof. But that's outside of regular continuity, isn't it? Or is it?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so. No. I don't think they ever really said.
It felt like it was out of continuity.
that I've heard. That's why I don't want to say no, but I've never heard it questioned that way.
Ooh, the cult was cool too.
That's true.
And what about who would play Commissioner Gordon?
Gary Oldman.
I would
in year 1.
Yeah.
No, he kind of just did.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah.
That's what I mean. I mean, I'm saying it's hard to say.
But see, I can picture him
Here's a question.
As the later Jim Gordon as well.
Yeah.
Who do you pick for Selena Kyle for that?
You should be slapped. I don't think anybody here. He said Holly Berry as a joke.
This is
Winona Ryder.
No. She had the short hair. She was not like I wouldn't say she wasn't like supermodel-ish. She certainly wasn't the Jim Ballant Catwoman. She was the David Mazzucchelli.
Right.
Mozzarella.
Mazzucchelli.
Thank you. Whatever.
Yeah.
Spell that name.
Natalie Portman.
Get out of here with Natalie Portman.
No.
I'm leaving.
No.
Good.
And then Jamie can have his mic back.
Screw you guys. I'm going home.
No, I wouldn't pick Natalie Portman.
I don't even know who I would pick. That's hard. There's so many hot chicks.
Angelina Jolie.
Wait a minute. I gotta
No,
I gotta
too big,
interfere
too
here
high
for a
profile.
second.
I'm trying to think like personality-wise, that somebody is kind of like off, like kind of edgy, something like that. That could really play a role like
What
that.
about her as Talia? Angelina Jolie.
No.
We can't hear you.
I'm sorry.
Well, you have to talk, and it's very simple. Physics and sound
I
waves.
have one more thing to say.
Talia she has to be foreign.
Yeah, you gotta get right.
How about like for Talia?
Some Eastern European chick or
What's
something.
the chick that played in Underworld?
Kate Beckinsale.
Kate Beckinsale.
He hates Kate Beckinsale.
No, I not only do I hate that, I hate recurring actresses. We're having this. We talked about that in X-Men 3, where they're putting in Spacker Dave as Angel. They're saying he's going to be the new Angel now, and it's like, well, how can you do that? How can you do that?
You mean like Lois Lane being married to Cyclops in Superman
exactly?
Returns?
Don't want. I hate that. So
I
nobody
think-
I
I
think
don't know.
you want somebody else that hasn't played.
I want
in a-
somebody new. I mean, there's a short of bad actresses out there. Come on.
I don't know. Get Taylor Rain to do it.
Who's that?
She's a porn star.
Yes.
Well, she's got to have that dominatrix thing going on. And if
But
we
she
were
can
doing
do that.
Batman Year One,
Yeah. That was totally a joke. And Lena right now is probably going, "Oh, you sons of bitches." and I broke one of Lena's rule, and I said chicks, referring to women. And I got to tell you, Lena, if you heard her latest podcast, she talks about how she doesn't. You said you can't call women girls. Only other women can call girls girls. And she says no one should call women chicks. And see, I have to disagree with that because I
How's
have
broads?
had female friends. I have had female friends who, like, a chick was like a term of endearment because it meant they were a cool, hip person who wasn't a woman. A woman is somebody who watches Oprah and knits. I mean, that's boring.
Oprah.
See, when I say woman, I think somebody who's mature. But I don't. I'm not saying knitting. I'm not going that direction.
But no, but I mean, you have to be careful. But chick,
Spin wool.
but chick is like a cool name, and so I knew women who like to be called chicks. So Lena might not want to be called a chick, so I won't call Lena a chick. But there are women who that's not offensive to them. So when I say find some cool chick to play, Catwoman, that's a compliment.
Okay, so next time we'll go Hoa.
Yeah, a hua.
Or broad.
all right.
Yeah, dame.
Let's
What
steer
was
this
the
back on.
topic?
Yeah, let's steer it back onto the track.
What were
of-
his examples?
Okay. His example, movie 1, The Batman. That's the title. He gives it The Batman. He says, follow year 1 almost exactly. He goes into displaying some things. He picks Christian Bale. He picks Gary Oldman. He said Kane did fine as Alfred. He says, don't put Lucius Fox. Now this one, I got to wonder what you guys are thinking. For the Joker, he says, I don't care what you say, Jim Carrey could pull the Joker off. And I think he might be too... I think he was a perfect Riddler. I don't know that he would be a
There's
good
no Joker in Year One, though.
No, I guess he's setting it up. In the final act is Batman versus the Joker at the very end of the movie. Which would make sense, I guess.
Because he already did the Riddler. I can't.
Yeah, so that eliminates that for
Yeah.
our
He
thing.
says for Barbara Gordon, he would use Famke Johnson. But again,
No.
you can't use her. She's already been used.
Plus, I don't see her as Barbara
Why
Gordon.
don't you just
He
have the girl
said
that played
she can
Oracle
pull
in,
off the
Birds of
redhead in
Prey?
Sirius.
No, you know who it needs to be? I don't know what she looks like now. Stacey Hyduck,
Oh yeah.
maybe. Oh, but she's already been Lana Lang. Damn it!
See, it's not that easy, is it? Huh?
Why don't you just do? I forget her name is, but she played Oracle in Birds of Prey.
No.
She wasn't
Ah,
bad.
No,
She
she's
had
not
the
that.
five
She's
head.
not
I
that
hated
good
it.
of an actress.
Yeah,
Dina
but she was
Meyer.
naked in Starship Troopers.
Yes, Dina Meyer is what you're talking
Yeah.
Well, then that's worth it.
She was also in Johnny Mnemonic. Anyway.
Less naked.
about.
Which wasn't worth it.
He says movie 2 would be Batman Shadow of the Bat.
Lindsay Lohan, Batgirl, a young Batgirl.
A
maybe?
young Batgirl, yeah.
No. Okay, forget it.
Well, and if you're gonna do a year one,
I'm just thinking a redhead. You know,
well,
I'm just
yeah,
trying to pull
but
a
I'm
redhead.
saying like if you're gonna do a year one like that, then I could see her as like a starting as her first appearance as Batgirl. I could see that.
No Scarlett Johansson.
No,
No.
And so Dick Grayson would be in the second movie. He said the kid who played young Red Pollard in Seabiscuit, who I'm told is in Will and Grace, but I don't watch that.
Oh, I know who you're. I don't know the actor's name, but I just watched Seabiscuit again. So
Yeah, it's a good movie, man.
it is a very good movie.
He says Harvey Dent and Two-Face, Michael Madsen. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's not a bad casting. I don't know.
He's not.
He doesn't
that
strike
strong
me
of
as
an
the
actor to
lawyer
carry-
type. You know, I don't
he's
know.
more like a thug type.
Right, yeah, exactly. Which I guess would be good for the Two-Face part. But he says, movie 3, Batman and Robin. Do not shoot me for the title. As he has stipulated, there have been no previous movies. He says for the Riddler, and he would put Steve Buscemi. You know, maybe. Maybe.
He doesn't
I don't
seem
know.
intellectual enough to pull
It
off the
doesn't. It
Riddler.
doesn't like snap to me. I don't know.
I'll be honest. If we're doing that, then I'd rather see Steve Buscemi as Scarecrow, not the Riddler.
Yeah, I could see that. And he says for Selena Kyle Catwoman, Eliza Dushku.
I don't know if I'd want to see it, but I'd want to see it. You know what I mean?
I understand.
Oh boy.
You don't know if you want to watch it, but you definitely want to see it.
Yeah. But
Uh,
again, to me, that
But she's Faith.
she's Faith, but I have no faith in her acting.
he says movie 4, Batman Nightfall. Oh.
No.
He says Bane, somebody huge, a bodybuilder who you can believe could snap Batman in half
Michael
with
Clark
ease.
Duncan.
And he says Mad Hatter, anyone who fits the bill. Ventriloquist Ian Holm.
Well, see, I could see Steve Buscemi as Mad Hatter. Him, I could see
Quirky.
playing it.
But my
Yeah.
problem with the Mad Hatter is he's a guy with a freaking hat. It doesn't seem too
Well,
epic as like a villain that you're going to be. Oh,
It's a big hat.
that is a good point. You sold me then.
Yeah, see?
And he says movie 5, Batman The Dark Knight Returns. He said follow the story to Dark Knight Returns faithfully. If the fans want to add Tim Drake's Robin to the story in a similar way as to how he was introduced in the comics, but he is one of the motivating factors for Bruce putting the cape and cowl back on. He says Batman Bruce Wayne, Clint Eastwood, and Joker Jim Carrey again, and Tim Drake Robin an unknown. I don't know, Clint Eastwood as Batman.
Harrison Ford?
come on.
No, I think you could get away with Bruce Willis at that point. I know he was in Sin City. I'm breaking my own rule, but I mean, he looks.
Listen to you.
You
Smarty
need somebody
pants.
like that. You need somebody like
thick.
that Bruce Willis.
Thick,
Yeah,
right,
like a
like
big, staunchy.
rugged.
Bruce Willis is a lot like him.
Yes. Could you have a clone of Bruce Willis? Would that count?
You could have Carrie. Why couldn't you have Carrie Kelly as Robin? You know, like one of the younger, like a Hillary Duff or somebody. You know, somebody annoying.
Wait, you mean a chick?
Yeah.
Oh.
Shazam.
All right.
Broad. I'm getting those two.
All right, here we go. He says, so I'm going to... Wow, I didn't know I had this much to write. Yeah, I mean, I skipped over so much that he has paragraphs and paragraphs. I hope I haven't freaked you guys out with my in-depthness of summary, etc. I hope to hear what you guys think about this in a future podcast, because otherwise it would be a monumental waste of time. He says, well, fuck it anyway. I'm from Bristol in England, by the way, for your map. There was a comic convention here recently, and I have a load of good sketches I may scan at some point and send over, if I can be bothered. Anyway, I hope to hear about this soon, Sam Harrison. Well, thank you, Sam.
I'd love to see him.
Yeah, absolutely scan those sketches.
We could start a thread on the forum.
Yeah,
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, anybody who wants to scan
Convention sketches, do a
Yeah,
sticky.
That would be great. That's a really good idea. Oh, and we just recently added Spain to our world domination map. So we are slowly taking over Europe. And let's
Hitler?
see here. Yeah, I was just going to say. All right. Here's
Nobody expects us.
That's right. Here's one. The subject of the email is "You rat bastards." This is from Rue Hartzell. He says, "Damn you and your informative yet entertaining show." Or is it entertaining yet informative? Just when I thought I was out of comics, or at least comfortable with just following the news in Wizard and so on, I had to stumble upon your totally sweet podcast. I thought that I could stop at your Batman Begins cast, because now I'm working my way through all of your podcasts. Not counting 1 and 2, sorry, but the audio quality turned me away. Yes, we know, we're very sorry. I only wish that I had discovered DCB service at InStockTrades.com before I dropped over $300 in trades at Borders, Barnes & Noble, and my local shop. Yeah, that would have cost you about $200 instead. Anyways, I wanted to drop you a line and let you know how utterly your podcast has taken over my free time. and to recommend either Watchmen or Squadron Supreme. As much as I love Supreme Power, I still prefer the original, for a future Book of the Month Club. The sadist in me would like to see a Rising Stars as a Book of the Month Club selection, because the first trade is so good, and it goes down so fast. But I'd rather see books that are really good as the Books of the Month. Anyway, great show, and thank you for reminding me of why I started reading comics in the first place. Well, hey, that's what we like to hear.
That is a good suggestion for the Book of the Month, the old Squadron Supreme with Mark Greenwald.
Is that available in trade? I think
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah,
Oh,
in
yeah,
fact,
it's
they're
just solicited right now on
Solicited
this,
a new printing of it.
Well, there you go.
And this episode will be up probably before we.
Yes.
Will it be up before we do the? We're going to be doing our next Book of the Month Club after this episode, probably.
Yeah, we might actually have recorded it by the time you hear
You think
this one.
maybe? Yeah. All right. So it's going to
possible.
be about Daredevil, Guardian Devil by Kevin Smith and Joe Quesada. So if not, excuse me, get your thoughts in. If it is, then you'll just hear it.
That's right. Yes. Then you're screwed.
Reread it and listen to us.
And can we mention that Daredevil, Guardian Devil on InStockTrades.com is their #1 seller?
Yeah.
I mean, so it has, and like we said, it has to be from all you guys out there. Yeah,
That's
so
right.
that's really great.
That's exactly right.
Okay. Here's another long one. Wow, these people, our fans have lots of free time, it seems like. This one's from Gene.
So do we.
Yeah.
So do I.
What the hell are we talking about? We're sitting here for hours talking about comic books. Who has free time? This one's from Gene. He says, great show, one of the finer podcasts I have come across, and easily the best when it comes to my great love, comics. I never get tired of hearing that. It's awesome.
No, we love that.
Having a group of well-informed geeks is very entertaining to listen to. That's the flaw I find with most podcasts. When it's just one or two people, it gets old fast. You guys all have excellent taste, which is great to see. I always have to pressure people into checking out Starman trades. Have to agree with everyone that pound for pound, JSA is the best damn DC comics on the stands right now. Woohoo! It has everything I want from a comic in it. Basically anything John's, and I am there. DC is just knocking it out of the park at the moment. This is the new golden age, as far as I'm concerned, with the Crisis 7 soldiers and their regular books. The only downside is it's raping my wallet. I have had to cancel all my Marvel books and get them in trade because I just couldn't afford to support all the monthlies. That's no great loss at the moment anyway, now that Bendis ruined the Avengers and Wade is off the Fantastic Four. Damn you. Read my post on the thread about Avengers, because I hate that statement.
Yeah.
Because Avengers is kicking ass.
I added to your...
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, which I agree, and I think you can really get some good information rather than just be
Jamie, did you
judgmental
read
about
that
it.
thread?
I haven't read the thread yet, but I just wish they'd get it out on time. That's my only problem. Just get the damn book out on time.
Yeah,
I agree.
I will not fault you there. But you have to go read that thread, Jamie, because there's a whole big thing. And I even said, I wrote several paragraphs, and I prefaced my statement by saying, I will defer to Jamie as he is the resident expert on Avengers, but these are my thoughts, and then I posted all my stuff.
Okay,
so.
I'll read it, but from a man who lived through the Dr. Druid times, this is not the worst. I'll tell you
That's
that.
exactly right.
I will give JMS a chance, but I don't really like his style. I can't put my finger on it, but there is something about the way he writes that just annoys me. I think he is too melodramatic. I have one gripe. When the fuck is somebody going to mention Avengers Forever in a best of list? Hey, is it on your list, Peter?
It's on my. I just put a sticky up not too long ago. We've been getting a lot of emails and things about people saying, what are your favorite trades? What are your favorite runs? What are good trades or stories to read about origins of characters? So I put a sticky up there. It's the first one, the official Comic Geek Speak comics list, and it breaks down all these different categories: origin stories, events, runs, and Avengers Forever is down as one of Marvel's events. And there's some links on some of the titles to in-stock trades or to other websites that give you like a synopsis of the story and some whatever. But I agree. I loved Avengers Forever. Loved the artwork. Loved the history. And I actually thought that should have... I think I mentioned that as a Book of the Month Club for the second one, but we decided on something else, and then we decided on something else again. But
yeah. Oh, it will come up eventually.
will
I mean,
come
we
up.
do all like it, and it's it's Carlos Pacheco. I mean,
And Kurt Busiek. I mean, you got to give... And Roger Stern. I mean, those two guys put so much research and so much information into writing that book. and then to put the icing.
You
on the
need
cake
Cliff Notes for that one. It's
Carlos
so
Pacheco.
much time travel and
in
all
the
that
trade.
stuff.
It's in the trade. They do the Cliff Notes in the trade.
I read the trade. I just must have skipped the Cliff Notes.
Yeah, I love that too, but I just thought, when we were discussing it, it was just such a niche audience. It didn't cross over into the main audience. You really had to love the Avengers books, had to have read and understood a lot of continuity. And as with any other Kang story, my brain hurts by the time
Room full of Kangs.
they're done.
Ramatut.
Yes, Ramatut,
Immortus,
the Sphinx, the living Sphinx. Christ. But no, I agree. It is a good book. As an Avengers fan, I loved it, but I can't put it on my best of because I just think it's too narrow of a niche.
He goes on to say, granted, I haven't listened to every show, but I have yet to hear this comic even mentioned. It is the best damn Avengers story in its entire history, in my opinion. That Pacheco art, gorgeous. Every panel is just so alive with detail in that fantastic retro 60s style. Such a good book. It was Avengers Forever and Daredevil, Guardian Devil that got me back into reading Marvel after abandoning ship in the mid-90s when every damn book had a crossover with the X-Men. Actually, now that I think about it, I haven't heard anyone talk about the awesome Wade run on FF. Another glaring oversight. Well, I've actually gone on record as saying I was reading FF and I stopped after like the first two storylines of his because I just wasn't into it.
I got it, but I was not, especially towards the end. I really was not impressed
I was already
with a
gone
lot
by
of the
then.
stories.
And I like Waringo's artwork, but I didn't like it on FF. I didn't think that it fit the characters and the style.
Yeah.
FF's very science fiction-y and everything, and to have all that cartoony artworric,
Right,
I
agree.
didn't think it blended.
When you see the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man book come out, you're
I
gonna
think
see
it'll be
him.
a lot better.
Yeah, but I wasn't that particularly fond of him that much. And I love Waringo. I don't think he's. I think he's kind of one of underrated artists. You don't hear a lot spoken about him. I think he does a really nice job and is very consistent. But I wasn't real charged with him on that book.
Yeah, it didn't work for me, but I am excited about it on Spider-Man. Okay, the Wizard Top 100 Trades was an absolute joke. I have hated that magazine for as long as I can remember because of their Marvel bias. I'm sure if you went back through their back issues, you would find stories about how great the Clone Saga is, and Rob Liefeld is number one on the hottest artist list. Hell, they probably had him as hottest writer in the early 90s. Crisis at number 80, Ultimate Spider-Man at number 5. I like Ultimate Spider-Man. I have all the trades, but I wouldn't even have it in the top 100. Is Starman on the list anywhere? Sandman Mystery Theater? American Flag? Any JSA trades?
American flag.
Flag, you bet. Shaken, baby.
Chaikin's going to be at the Baltimore Con, by the way. So get your
I gotta
sketch
meet
pad
him.
ready.
I'll recognize him because
Yeah.
he looked like Reuben Flagg. And
We're going to Baltimore Con.
We're
For
going
those
to
of you who are
Baltimore.
down there, I know a couple of our listeners have been mentioning that they're in
Yeah.
Baltimore, they're going, or Maryland, or whatever. And
I gotta meet Shaken.
we're pretty much, it's September 17th and 18th, Saturday and Sunday.
We're all going to be there.
We're all
Bring
gonna
back
be
some
there.
water from the aquarium.
No.
No.
And Mouse at number 1 was also strange. Wizard never pimps indies. They probably couldn't handle having a DC book at number 1.
they just had to look good.
Yeah. 2 topics of discussion for a future show. A theory of mine, after talking to many a comic fan aficionado, is that the first book you buy is generally the company you stick with and feel a stronger affinity for. My first was Detective Comics issue 600, and I have been a devoted DC fanboy ever since. Is that the trend with you guys? Abso-friggin-lutely.
Yep.
I was a Marvel guy. I bought, Grew, and which was under the Marvel banner, so I felt closer to Marvel, and then I started reading other Marvel books, and I'm a Marvel zombie.
Marvel Team Up number 3 for me. I remember that's the first book I can remember really getting into, and that's it. I became a Spider-Man nut, and that's it. I've been a Marvel nut ever since.
Peter?
For me, although I had other books before it, it was New Teen Titans 28. That's the one that I connected with and stuck with, and DC all the way. DC, Titans, and George Perez all right there.
Yeah. Quarter in the jar.
Oh, did I say?
Yeah. Ah!
Oh, damn.
It's Perez.
See? You're all gonna wait too until I do it. See, ready?
I like how that was the same coin from the last time.
It wasn't. I witnessed it.
Got a buck in there, right?
Yeah. Slacker. Jamie?
You're not eating next week, are you?
Well, unfortunately, the first comic book I ever bought, the company isn't it was a Harvey comic, so they're not in anymore. Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't remember the first comic that I bought as far as superhero goes, but it had to have been like Avengers or Marvel Team Up or one of those. So I was a Marvel zombie to begin with, but I have since gone over to the dark side, and I try to collect everything. But yeah, you're right. When your first book, that was your first love, and that would be Marvel.
Scotty?
My the first comics I bought had no covers on them. It was hard for me to tell who published them. They were all stripped off, and I bought them cheap from some guy.
Is that Michael Jackson?
Yeah, come in. Yeah, he only made me sleep with him. It seemed worth it at the time.
Anything for free comics.
There was no touching. No touching.
Are you going to be able to answer this, or are you too busy laughing over there? All right, he's good.
Okay, we'll go on. And the Ultimate line, has it run its course? I liked all the Ultimate books when they first debuted, although I don't think they were doing much more than putting a fresh coat of paint over old stories. Recently, I've been debating whether I should even still be buying the trades, because I have found they have gotten really boring. Ultimate X-Men went to hell after around issue 40. Fantastic Four went downhill around issue 10. The Ultimates are still okay, but this second series isn't as good as the first 12, and Spidey seems to be just treading water since around issue 60. All the spin-offs outside of the main four have been total shit. I think it's time for the Anti-Monitor or the Beyonder to eat the Ultimate Universe.
You're shaking your head yes?
Yeah,
You agree?
I
Ultimate
agree.
Spider-Man,
Wow.
I thought it was running out of steam before issue 60.
I mean,
I still love it.
I mean, I still like aspects of it, and I like some of the characters, and I'm really enjoying this Warrior story because, with Moon Knight and Black Cat and Elektra in it and stuff. So I'm interested in where it's going to go. But for the past, past 20 issues, for me, it has been getting slow, getting stale. I find myself not as interested to read it right away. Whereas up until that point, I was all over that book every month.
And this is for those of you who don't know, this is from a huge Spider-Man fan.
Yeah, I've been reading Spider-Man for 35 years, so I enjoy the book. I still enjoy it, but it's not at the level of what it was. To me, it seems to have kind of plateaued at a bit and kind of actually dropped a bit. So I'm hoping that, from the storylines I've seen of what he's going to be doing from here on up to 100, I'm intrigued, and I still will read, and I'm hoping that it does kind of pick up. But Ultimate FF, for me, just didn't sing.
See, I just read that first 12 issues in that hardcover, and I thought it was some of
Doom
the
with
best.
hooves. I mean,
I thought it was
there's a lot of
awesome.
things that, to me, I don't like. It doesn't capture that magic like the FF
You think?
did.
See, I thought it was like the
character play.
I
the
almost said
character
I thought it was like
interaction.
the ultimate Fantastic Four book, but that's a ridiculous statement. I
It's
think
a lot like that.
I think it captures the feeling of the Fantastic Four better than the Fantastic Four comics have in a long time. I read that whole thing in like 2 sittings. I was just like blown away by how awesome it was.
See, and I didn't get that feel from it when to me, when I was reading the Carlos Pacheco and Jeff Loeb FF series, that to me sang.
Well, that was awesome.
I mean, that just pulled FF. That to me, that was reading Silver Age, but yet current, kind of thing, and it really captured that essence of the FF and what makes them popular. And from reading Ultimate F, I didn't get that. I didn't get the characters. To me, didn't seem very interesting. Some of the things, the way they worked with the characters, seemed just blah with me. It didn't really just pop out there, and I really almost didn't care what was going to happen to the characters. And,
Interesting.
That's just my take on it.
I handed it to Taj. I said, "You have to read this because this is friggin' awesome."
Now, Ultimates, that I really enjoy.
Oh, and he said he thinks Ultimate X-Men went to hell, but are you reading it now with Brian K. Vaughan? Because it just got really good again. I mean, there was a little soft spot. I will agree with you, but I mean, Brian K. Vaughan, he just everything he touches turns to gold, man, and that's a good book right now.
Do you think it's because Ultimates, out of all of them, is the one that's probably the farthest away from the book that it's originated from?
It could be because there's a lot more freshness to it.
It's just
so it's
so
not just
different.
it's not so much of a recapture, so to speak, with a
might
little
be.
twist or two.
It might be possible that Ultimates has gotten too cynical and bloodthirsty.
Well, see, now I haven't read Volume 2 yet.
Yeah,
so
I'm waiting for the trade.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the trade as well. So, but from what I can pull off of from reading the first volume, the first 13 issues, I loved it. I thought it was really fresh, new, and exciting, and I wanted to read each issue as it came out. and then to sit down and read it all at one shot was just phenomenal.
I think the reason that I like the whole universe so much is that there's only one book for each title. You know, there's one Spider-Man, there's one X-Men. I mean, in the regular Marvel universe, I defy you to understand the X-Men. You know, who has any idea what's going on in any of that crap? There's so many storylines, there's so many titles, it's all crossing over. The team members are here in one issue, they're gone the next. Nobody has any friggin' idea who's who or where they are or how they're supposed to be tying together. It's all bullshit. And then in Ultimates, there's one book, and the team has changed. You know, people have come and gone, and that's fine. But it's just one book, month after month, of just a continuation of the same X-Men story, and there's no confusion. It's very simple, and that just feels good because I'm so sick and tired of the last 15 years of crazy X-Men nonsense.
Right. I'm in the same boat with you, Brian. That's what motivated me to buy the trades for all the Ultimate X-Men books and sit down and read them, because I wanted to read that type of X-Men book, and it wasn't being produced, and it hasn't been produced for a long time. And to be able to read that book and have the characters that I've loved and have them have stories told that the characters are still interesting and they're not trying to throw them away and stir them up too much, that it's a fun read and it's not all convoluted. That's what really got me off of X-Men to begin with. There's got so many plot lines and nothing was being finished and everything was just trying to be questioned more and more and more, and it was just like a big mess.
Yeah, gets out of hand. And he says, I would submit some questions to stump Peter, but I don't want you guys having to fork over postage to Australia. Keep up the good work and...
I think
that's
like
a
a challenge.
Okay.
Do it. We'll do it. I already said I'll put in the money. We'll get you first class. That's fine, or something like that.
I'll watch what you
Surface man. Surface man. Achoo. I meant surface man.
And he says, P.S. The last panel in the OMAC Project issue 3 gave me a comic geekgasm.
Hell yes, I agree with that.
I haven't read it yet, so
that's
I'm not.
And as you're getting out of that, let me just say,
when ambush bug crashed through the
I started off with Marvel, but now I'm pretty much in DC universe and in my reads.
It's because you're lame.
Nobody really cares.
I used to relate to Spider-Man growing up, but something about the character,
I mean, the good thing though is that these are two Marvel zombies that are we're just discussing the whole Ultimate lines, but what I like, I mean, everybody, we've been getting some emails where they're like, we're bashing Marvel. No, we're not, because you guys really do care about those characters in those books, and you just want them to be good.
Absolutely.
That's exactly
right.
what you want those characters and those stories to be good. And
Exactly.
that's true of any comic fan and any title and any company.
Which
Should be
if you
true
read
of any comic.
if you read my response to the post about the New Avengers, that's more or less what I talk about with my take on the book and how I interpret it and why I enjoyed that book. So
To sum it up, because it's a little confusing for people who haven't read the thread, is somebody was on the board trashing the New Avengers, saying how it's total crap and Bendis has ruined it and these characters shouldn't be in the Avengers and they're solo characters and what the hell is Wolverine and Spider-Man and maybe Daredevil, what are they doing in Avengers, and it's all a bunch of nonsense. And I posted and I said, well, first of all, Wolverine has had more appearances on team books than he ever has on solo books, and the Wolverine solo books generally suck because Wolverine, while his character is a loner, he functions better on a team because it's more interesting to read. A loner by himself is boring.
right,
He
his character plays off of other characters much better. So
Right.
he's more of a dynamic character. We and his other characters to play off of.
Yeah.
Him in his own book, it's interesting with the character himself, but it just never carries. So until he has somebody to flip off or whatever, I mean that's
Right.
where people get into it.
And Spider-Man has been an on-again, off-again Avenger for quite some time. And then they were saying, how these guys just don't belong there. And I said, well, okay, let's go back. The Hulk was one of the original Avengers. And is he a team player? No. But he was an Avenger before anybody else
And
was.
he left after issue 2.
Yeah. And then they're saying, well, the Avengers lineup has changed constantly over the years. So you can't be complaining that the lineup is changing because it always changes.
Just because
It's
Spider-Man's...
hardly been the same for more than 10 issues at a shot. I mean,
Right.
it's always changing. So, that's a preposterous statement as far as I'm concerned. And then the bottom line is, whether you like Bendis' dialogue or whatever, just enjoy it on the surface. Is it just a fun read? And whether you think it's plausible what the characters are doing or not, or whether you think the whole storyline is plausible or whatever, it's still just an entertaining Avengers story. Like, that's the bottom line. Just get through all the crap. It's like the Fantastic Four movie. Even though there's Hollywood plot holes and all that nonsense that you see in most Hollywood movies, underneath that, it's just a fun movie. And that's the same way I feel about Avengers. Although I happen to think I love Bendis' dialogue and I love, everything he's doing. So, and I think his use of S.H.I.E.L.D. to kind of gel the whole Marvel universe together, he's really putting S.H.I.E.L.D. in all of his books, and it brings some continuity that Marvel has been missing for a long time. And S.H.I.E.L.D. didn't have a role for so many years, and now he's brought it into full force. I kind of like that. So anyway, but that's what our thread was about, and we have more detail on the board, but you know. All right, we got another email from Rue Hartzell. He just has another one. Just a quick thought on your discussion of Watchmen. Everyone in my group of friends who read Watchmen before Kingdom Come loved both books, but everyone who read Kingdom Come first thought that Watchmen was good, but not as great as they'd heard. I'd be interested in knowing if the same applies to you guys. Anyway, thanks for a great show and for recommending InStockTrades.com. I just ordered 8 trades for $65 or so, which is awesome. Well, I read Watchmen 5 years ago after hearing 15 years of hype, and I thought it was good, but I was expecting the greatest comic book ever written, which is what most people say, and for me, it wasn't the greatest comic book ever written. I do want to read it again now, another 5 years later, and maybe I'll change my mind, but maybe because it wasn't what I was expecting.
Well, we also talked about this before. It's all hindsight. You're used to books almost that have spawned since Watchmen.
Right.
When Watchmen came out,
yeah.
If you take it as an aspect of when it came out,
right,
and read it and put that aspect into it, it is.
Yeah, and like I said before too, everybody was talking about that book, whether you loved it or hated it. It was the same thing like what's going on now with all these events. You have people who hate it, people who love it, but everybody's talking about it, and that's how it was back then.
I agree.
And you got to remember, a lot of times, what Kevin was saying about when it came out. When it came out, there was no Sandman. There was no Vertigo line. There was no more of the adult, mature comics that were out there. This was the first time you really saw these themes. The anti-hero, the good guy who does bad things.
Clay feet.
Yeah, the clay feet of your gods. Exposed, and I've read it a few times, and the more I read it, the more I get out of it, the more I find in it, and I kind of agree that you can't, sometimes when you hear about, this is the greatest thing in the world, and you go to expecting more than you get, it is a little disappointing, but just, if you look at it in the historical perspective, it was just a phenomenal book, and it is one of my favorites. I mean, it ranks up there, and I'd say in the top 10 all-time of stories. Kingdom Come is also up there in the top 10 of all-time stories for me, too, but this one, amazing story.
I'm going to move right into our next email because it actually touches on the same thing. This is from Chris Shanks, who says, "Hi, guys, occasionally girls and dogs.
Woof, woof.
My name is Chris, and I'm from the UK. I just found your Blogspot site from reading the Kevin Smith website. Glad I did. You guys rock, and I'm so glad I found your site. Slowly working my way through your podcast. Anyway, down to business. A few years ago, a comic friend of mine tried to get me into comics. He started by lending me a copy of League of Extraordinary Gentlemen and Watchmen. Loved them both, but lost touch with him. A few weeks ago, I found a copy of Watchmen cheap, £8. I loved it and read it 3 times. My question is in 2 parts. A, what are all your opinions on Watchmen? And B, what would your top 5 comics be to suggest to a new reader? Well, we mentioned that too, because if you go to our forum now, we have the sticky that lists that Peter's updating whenever he thinks of new things of all trades and stuff to read if you're into it or whatever. And we just talked about Watchmen, so I think we covered that. So I think we can safely... His title of his email is General Butt Kissing and a Question.
I think there's also a thread that somebody started. It was the top 25 storylines of all time. And it wasn't like Watchmen and Kingdom. It was just ones that you really felt were... So maybe we'll try to bump that thread up too.
All right, here's another one here's another email that we got from. This is from David Price. He says, "Great show. I found it by upgrading my iTunes to 4.9 and doing a search for comic. I'm in the process of jumping around to catch up with all of your episodes. Nothing Can Stop the Juggernaut was published back in the early 80s. It was a 2-part story where Juggernaut was after Madam Web, and something did in fact stop the Juggernaut, which I thought was great. I remember the pounding Spidey took to his back while Juggernaut tried to get him off. The artist was John Romita Jr., and it was written by Roger Stern. Again, great show. Keep up excellent work, everyone." So have you guys read that?
I loved that story.
That's in reference to the top 100 wizard trades.
Oh,
because
is it?
we were wondering what that was about. So.
Because
Yeah,
Kevin wasn't here then.
Right.
Yeah, that was one of the... At that run of books in Amazing Spider-Man was phenomenal. Roger Stern really found a good niche on it, and with John Romita Jr. doing the art, it was a great run of books. I mean, there was some great stories in there, and that was by far one of the best ones because it was kind of that thing. Let's take a Spider-Man character and put him up against a Juggernaut. What would he do? What can he do to try to... And he did stop him, and he stopped him in a physical way and using his head rather than just trying to be a brute force and trying to stop him. And it was just an interesting, well-written book.
Kind of reminds me of that episode of Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends.
Yeah, they kind of did take some of that off of that, but of course it didn't near capture the magic of what Roger Stern wrote. But it was, and you know that you had the kid who collected Spider-Man, you know, and those kind of stories at that time, they were really good.
All right, next one. This is from Oscar Cortez from the DRA Studio. It's drastudio.com. Design and illustration. He says, "Thanks for providing a consistently great show. Like most folks, I started listening when podcasting found its way more mainstream with the introduction of iTunes 4.9. I cannot say thank you to Apple enough because we have gotten so many listeners. It's awesome. I am still trying to get caught up with all the CGS back episodes, but I am almost there. No questions for Peter from me. It is one of my favorite portions of the show, though, but I do have some general items that I would like to hear discussed." He's got 9 general items. So we'll see how quickly we can get through these. I am pretty sure I was picking up some negative opinions throughout several of the podcasts regarding the first and second X-Men movies, but I wanted to hear some specifics on what you liked, disliked. Actually, I think we all loved them, basically. I mean, the second one I thought was better than the first one because the first one was shorter, for one thing, and had some build-up that we got through and could get past.
They're the best X-Men stories in the last 15 years.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't read the comics, watch those movies.
Yeah, my only thing with it is really Halle Berry.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the only weak point in all the movies, as far as I'm concerned.
Same question about any of the other super flicks, Spider-Man, Hulk, Daredevil, Elektra, and so on. Well, we did. I don't remember what episode it was, man. We talked about. Oh, it was one of the Comic Geekos crossovers. That's right. We went into a lot of depth. So as you're going through your back ones, I'm sure you'll see that. If you look on the blog and we talk about one of the crossovers, it'll be in there.
This is a good look at the show notes. Go to our website, comicgeekspeak.blogspot.com. We have show notes, so we always try to list. I always try to list like top 5 if we talk about top 5. If we do movie reviews and things like that, so it's there. I just don't know which one it is.
What are your thoughts on the new Black Panther run with Reggie Hudlin? I'm not reading it.
It's a pale imitation of the Priest run.
Thank you.
Pale imitation.
Wow. Okay.
Go buy those back issues. They're awesome.
Yeah, there are 2 trades, The Client and Enemy of the State. Those are the first 2 Christopher Priest trades. They're the only 2. Write to Marvel, demand that they trade the entire Christopher Priest run, because with this Reggie Hudlin one, which I read the first issue and I was, it's okay. The artwork's great, but it's John Romita Jr. But it's negating what Christopher Priest spent a lot of years doing. So
there you have it. Number 4. What about the return of Hal Jordan in the new Green Lantern book with Jeff Johns and Carlos Pacheco?
Woo-hoo! Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it.
I'm waiting for the trade, but
yes, I'm enjoying it very much.
Those 2 creators, it can't be bad.
Yeah, I mean, I've
read. They could do Power Pack, and it would be awesome.
Well,
they could do Speedball.
Well,
Speedball's inherently cool.
I love it. Speedball's awesome. No, I love the Green Lantern.
Gotta give props to Speedball. Come on.
And I'm one of those that I've always liked Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, but I even enjoyed Kyle's run. I thought he was an interesting character, and it kept me interested in reading the book. but I liked Rebirth. I thought it was a smart idea to bring him back and how it tied it all together. And the first 2 issues of the new title were just spectacular.
Yeah, this was on the forum too. Not to keep pimping the forum, but somebody said something about Kyle and Hal, and in their mind, Kyle surpassed Hal, and they kind of likened it to Wally and Flash, Barry. But in my mind, Hal never really went away because I never bought. First of all, you knew he was Parallax, but then what happened to him in Final Night. I said no, he's always going to come back. Whereas Barry, I felt.
Right.
Would be the one to stay away longer. So
I could see that. I mean,
but I agree. I also like Kyle.
I think the reason the people that did enjoy Kyle is because you got to grow with him as he learned to use the powers, and whereas when Hal got it, he got the ring and boom, he used everything. He's like already set up. Where Kyle was kind of like the Peter Parker of Green Lantern. So it was a different take on it, and by the end, Kyle was really good at using the ring and accepting what it was, so it was still good reads.
All right, number 5. I may be one of the few, but I still love Deadpool. I fell in love back in the 90s when Joe Kelly and Ed McGuinness were teamed up on Deadpool's solo book. I am slowly collecting some of their earlier appearances, too. But what do you guys think about this Merc's current stint of Cable Deadpool? He says, let the verbal thrashing begin. I'm not reading it, so I have no idea.
I don't think anybody.
Those McGinnis issues
that's
were funny.
That to me says it right there. Enough said. I'm not reading it either, so I have no interest in reading it.
I know some people really like the Gail Simone Deadpool. I don't know if did anybody read that one?
I have the Deadpool toy, and he looks cool. I always thought he looked cool, but I don't know anything about the character, really.
No, I never had any interest to
I think it was because it was created by Liefeld. So.
I think Cable's holding him back. That's what I think. Cable's dragging the man down. It's like a third wheel.
Okay, number 6. Unfortunately, I got out of collecting Marvel books right at the falling action of the Onslaught saga and the beginning of the Zero Tolerance story arc. So I have no good third-party discussion on either. What did you guys think of the line? I don't even know what either of those are. What the hell is Onslaught and Zero
Onslaught
Tolerance?
was the end of the Marvel Universe for most of the main characters, and then they started the Heroes Reborn. Or was it Hero Return?
No, here's
Was it Reborn? Okay, it was Reborn, which was the Jim Lee and Rob Liefeld universe of Marvel. So that was the Onslaught saga.
That's when I was hardly reading any comics, so I don't really recall anything.
If they would have stuck to their guns and did what they wanted to do with that Onslaught, where they basically, it was, I don't know if I want to say in case there's people who want to read it. If they would have stuck to what their original idea was, I thought that would have been kind of bold, and maybe they would have.
Would it have been like the original idea for the Clone Saga?
I mean,
yeah, it's the same thing. Like you have an original idea and then it morphs. It's the
Yeah.
same thing with Armageddon 2001 with DC. They had an original idea and then because they panicked, they changed it. So and it always just winds up bad. Then.
I mean, a lot of the Marvel books at that time, something needed to be done, and that was the best thing they could have done as far as cancel a lot of the books and change it and then start a new universe. I mean, it wasn't the big thing of starting it into like an alternate reality kind of thing, but it ended up working out, as far as I'm concerned, because then when
I asked the Magic 8-Ball what I thought about Onslaught. It says consult me later. So even it's undecisive there. Number 7. Did anyone else besides me enjoy Joe Mad's work on the X-Men, or at least prefer his work on the Morlocks? Remember Marrow, specifically Uncanny X-Men 346. I wasn't reading X-Men at the time. I do like Joe Mad's work, and when he did that...
Battle Chasers.
Battle Chasers, which was, awesome for 3 issues, and then it took about 3 years for the next 3 issues to come out, and then it went away. Because now he's doing video game design or some shit. So go back to your first love, man, thing that made you popular in the first place.
He's doing the new Batman cartoon, right? Isn't he?
Yeah,
I don't know.
producer?
Yeah, something like that,
Producer?
yeah.
Something in there.
Yeah, he should
Design.
be drawing comic books. I want more Battle Chasers. Biatch. Pisses me off. Number 8. Are you guys stoked about the upcoming Justice book featuring the work of Alex Ross? Besides Kingdom Come, amazing book, what else might you recommend that includes his handiwork? Well, yes, I think we're all excited about Justice. I mean, that's safe to say.
The DC oversized books. Superman.
Yes.
yeah.
Batman.
Shazam,
Wonder
Woman.
Justice
And, of course,
League.
Marvels.
And Marvels,
He
yeah, I
didn't
was
say
gonna say.
Marvels because that's...
Yeah.
I'm more interested in the Justice book because of the Legion of Doom.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
When you were leaning back like that, we can't hear you. Okay, number 9 and final question. Does the Stump the Rios music remind anyone else of the loading music for the old One Must Fall PC game? Maybe that's why I like the segment so much. It makes me want to jump into a battle bot and beat the crap out of something. I don't know. I've never played the game. I gotta admit, I never even heard of it. But
No.
and
I always want to jump into a battle bot and beat the hell out of
Somebody
something.
send us the
Send us
file.
a
so
clip,
we can,
yeah,
send us
yeah,
a
we
clip
gotta
so
compare
can
because
hear
I just created that song using this little free program and just screwed around with it. So
So why don't we segue into it since we have to do one for this episode?
well, I know
anyway.
that's well, I gotta finish this.
Oh, finish it.
Comment. Jeez. Well, that is probably enough to not get me read on the podcast, but that's all I got for now. I really do look forward to the next installment.
That was very subtle, Peter.
Okay, now, Peter,
Jesus.
Should I get my quarters out?
now I can go in.
Oh, I hear it. I hear exactly what it's
BattleBot, BattleBot.
BattleBot.
I actually have to load up a Stump the Rios here.
I like how Peter seems to be the only one that's paid for anything.
Uh-oh, Peter. I think there's no way that you're going to get these. It's 3 questions about Gru.
What? Oh, come on.
That's not fair.
Wait, it's Stump the Deemer time.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, let's do Stump the
I
Deemer on that
actually
one.
have not read this
All right,
email.
all
I
right.
just saw that they were Gru because I figured that we would do this. So I'm going to move away from the computer screen.
Strangely enough, it says, thank you, Brian Deemer, as the person that sent the email.
Scott, you want to do the honors there?
Read things? I don't know. My
Yes.
literary skills.
And I'm not looking at the screen, so I can try
I
to.
am illiterate. This might not go well. I just want to know. It's from. Oh, the Lamb Jr.
Oh, it's from Dave LaManna.
Oh, my God.
Our buddy Dave LaManna.
Hey, everyone.
That makes sense.
just
He's
want-
probably going to stump me. Now watch this, and I'll
Oh,
look
yeah.
like a complete ass.
He's gonna kill you. Just want to let you know I'm still digging the shows. Yeah, Dave. We'll just get down to the questions. We're all great. Number 1.
What does it say about me? What does it say about me?
It says you're great. Gru started out as adventurers as an illiterate barbarian, but eventually learned to read. In which issue did he learn to read?
Oh, jeez, which issue?
Wow.
It was in the Marvel run.
It was the same issue you.
There were 120 issues, and it was earlier on. I don't know, issue 46.
The answer issue 100.
Oh,
Gru and his
jeez.
wandering around falls into a hole and finds a vast hidden treasure.
I remember that.
An old man named something I could never pronounce, Abacendero, who guards it and no way out. The old man painstakingly teaches Gru to read over the course of many months before dying and leaving Gru the new guardian of the treasure. Gru eventually figures his way out of the cave and puts the treasure to good use. That's
a.
why.
All right.
Question 2.
That's
Question
a quarter.
2. Gru wouldn't be Gru without his faithful dog Ruferto. In which issue did he and Gru first meet?
That's.
Oh,
By the way, at the con, Sergio showed us pictures of his old dog that is where he got the inspiration for Ruferto, so that was kind of cool. I don't know. That was definitely earlier on. He was only solo for like 2 years or something. I'm going to say issue 27.
Oh, so close. I don't know. Is there a plus or minus here? Issue 29. Ruferto was the dog of a king and queen who ran away from home craving a life of adventure and was wearing a diamond-studded collar. When Gru first met him, he tried to eat him, but wound up defending him from people who kept trying to steal the dog so they could collect the reward for his return. Ruferto fell in love with Gru for this. Gru eventually decided not to eat him, and they have been constant companions and best of friends ever since.
You know, Dave, if you.
Oh, wait. Your mic is not on here. Hang on. There you go.
Okay, you know, Dave, if you stump him for all 3, you're going to get the Gru page.
Yeah,
So that's,
I don't think so.
Oh, that's true. What do we? If he stumps you, do we? What do we do? Do we?
I'll give him a handshake the next time I see him.
Question.
That was handshake.
Question 3. Gru's known for having messages hidden within the comic panels.
Yes.
What was the first Marvel issue to feature a hidden message, and what was the message?
Oh, well, Jesus, I have no idea.
I think that was the message. You got that right. It was Jesus. I have no idea.
I don't know. Issue 3.
Ooh, issue 4.
Oh.
The first letter of every caption block throughout the issue spells out what?
I don't know.
Gru the Wanderer.
Oh, that makes sense. Those issue number ones are hard.
Oh, no, no.
Your issue should be.
No, I don't think so.
What the? You keep turning it off.
It's on.
No,
There,
you
now-
turned it
now
off.
it does.
You can't turn it off because it turns off all microphones.
Oh, nice.
Wow, Dave.
That's tough, man.
Killed him.
But see, I'm not Rio, so we don't have to give him a prize.
Well, we can give him a T-shirt.
Yeah, we'll give him a
we'll give him a
T-shirt next
t-shirt.
time we see him.
Give him a T-shirt anyway.
You got pretty close there, Pete. I mean, on the two anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I was
Yeah,
way off on the first one. I didn't
not
remember
saying-
it, but the other two, that was reasonably close.
Yeah.
I remember the whole hidden message thing. It was in the letters page. Then in the next issue, he would reveal where, and 'cause most of the time it was just in one panel on one page, where it was hidden. That was kind of a cool thing to do. I could never find him. I would look and I would study the whole issue. I could never freaking find him.
You killed him, Dave. You killed him.
Yeah,
T-shirt.
put me to shame.
All right, we got to change
yeah.
up here.
I gotta
They got to go back to
No,
their
I
seats.
switch.
There's wires and dogs and people standing.
Oh my.
There we go.
Okay. Well, I think we've definitely blasted our time frame right out the window on this one. So we are going to.
Are you going to find another one to do to stump Rios, or are you just going to use that one as a...
We're at about like an hour and 10 we're coming up on.
Yeah, that's pretty long.
Okay.
So we'll save the actual. That was a good change up there. Just surprised us.
Curveball.
Let me get our appropriate music here. Okay. If you want to email us, you can send that to comicgeekspeak@gmail.com. You can also send us any of your audio Stump the Rioses or audio Geeks of the Day or written Stump the Rioses or Geeks of the Day. And also your contest entries, send them to comicgeekspeak@gmail.com. Check out our blog at comicgeekspeak@blogspot.com, where you can also join our forum. We'd like to thank Bob at GameCircuit.net for hosting us. Also, vote for us at Podcast Alley and subscribe to us in iTunes. You can buy one of our shirts. We have them $10, includes postage at the blog. And anything else, fellas? I don't think so.
Join the forum if you haven't already. Say hello. Stop lurking and join the forum.
Yeah.
And click the Google ads and click some other podcasts that we have links to. Check them out.
Yeah. Once again,
While you have time during all that, read some comics.
Read some comics.
once again, we are Comic Geek Speak, uniting the world's mightiest heroes, one listener at a time.